Hey everyone, I'm just putting this up for just this our site here, but I've got a bunch of public videos I'll probably be shooting as well. But I just finished doing a kind of a live reaction to the UAP hearing, and I'm sure many of you already watched it. And it was quite extraordinary, I have to say. It vastly went beyond anything that I had been expecting over the last few weeks. I just have to just admit that right here, right now. I did kind of expect Fravor and Graves to do very well. They certainly did, but they were very, how do you criticize these two? You know, they're experienced Navy pilots. There's really nothing you can say against them. The description of their sightings, both of them, I think is unimpeachable as far as I can say. They both were excellent. Grush was always the one that, you know, you always wondered how far will he go. And I think he walked a very fine line. You know, if you watched it, I suspect you would agree. He's talking very explicitly about, yes, a crash retrieval reverse engineering program, alien crash retrieval reverse engineering program. I mean, he basically put that out there several times. He said he had explicit knowledge of the corporate players, and not just the corporations, but the departments, the divisions within those corporations. He did not say what they were. He did state to one member of Congress they could discuss this after, presumably in a skiff or some kind of secure facility. You know, and it just went on and on. This type of thing. I mean, you've got the one theme, members of Congress, and by the way, so many members of Congress were just jumping in on this. Do you notice a dozen, 15? I lost track. I lost count. Is it at least 15? I think were all wanting to be part of this. And I don't know what the final tally was on the YouTube video when it was airing, but when it started, there were over 60,000 people waiting for that video. It's an extraordinary number. I mean, for a congressional hearing, this was really a huge, huge thing. So lots of interest and some real, I would say, bombshell statements. You know, I mentioned in my YouTube video last night that, yeah, there were hearings back in 1968. They called it a symposium rather than hearing, whatever. But that was nothing in terms of impact compared with what happened today. In my opinion, not even close. There were more speakers back in 68, but with, I don't know, I think the impact of what happened today was vastly, vastly greater. So this was very, very big. I'm going to have a lot more to say about this. By the way, I'll have a link to my Twitter feed. I haven't really done a whole lot with Twitter lately, but today we did a lot. I threw a lot of tweets out there. Well, our team did. Tracy's shooting me right now. Tracy and our social media team were putting a lot of my clips out there in the Twitter sphere. I'll have a link. You can check that out if you care. But and I very likely will be doing a more formal public YouTube video on this probably later today. So lots going on. Fascinating. Is this going to move us toward disclosure? Is that what's going to happen? And you know, damned if I know. Is it really going to happen that we're going to have some kind of true forward motion? The thing that I think you have to acknowledge this at this point is that there are members of Congress who, I don't think they're faking this. I think they are genuinely interested in this subject. They are genuinely taking it seriously. And I'm just going to repeat, this has been my refrain for quite a few years. I don't see this as an op. I'm seeing this as a factional war. That's what I think is going on. I think we're looking at battles. There is still, as Kehoe called it years ago, the secrecy group. They still exist. And Grush really essentially was talking about them, throwing, you know, a lot of obfuscation over the investigation, communication of the data, and so forth. But on the other hand, just as Kehoe talked about this 70 years ago, there were those who were, yes, willing to fight to end UFO secrecy. Hell, that was a chapter of one of the chapter titles in, I think, Volume 1 of UFOs and National Security State, the fight to end secrecy. And that was in the 1950s, and I'm taking the position right now that this is what we are seeing now. Whether this faction will succeed, whether we, the people supporting this faction, will succeed in genuinely ending UFO secrecy. That's the great battle before us. That's the great drama that is unfolding. But we saw something in Congress today that had never happened before. This hearing was unprecedented. Nothing like it ever. The UFO briefings that we'd seen before were nothing like what we witnessed today in these hearings. So I think it's significant. You can say, well, there's no new information. That's not the way to look at this. I think there was some new information, actually. But the most significant thing is that you had these three gentlemen speaking extremely explicitly about the UFO UAP subject in Congress, in official statements. And I think that's a milestone. So take the win. Let's see where it goes from here. Still lots of work to do. We're still at baby steps, in my view. But this was decent baby steps, let's put it that way. I think it could have been much, much worse. And in fact, I would say it went over very well. That's my assessment for now. I'll catch you all again on this really soon. And I'll be back probably very soon on this.